Currently, he's the CEO of the organization WildAid, which works to stop trafficking in a dozen countries. Peter, thank you so much for joining us. Let's take a look at this latest seizure. Singapore, a transit point last week, nearly 9 tons of elephant ivory and almost 12 tons of pangolin scales. These were going from the DRC on their way to Vietnam. How did China fit into all of this?
Well, under President Xi's leadership, the Chinese customs have really been upping their game this year, and they're doing a lot of in-depth investigations. So not just taking wildlife products away, but also looking into where did they come from, who supplied them, where are they going, who's buying them. And so this seizure was based on information from Chinese customs, who've really done a fantastic job this year.
What role are the Chinese playing in the larger crackdown on poachers? Talk to us a little bit about how this is coming from the government down.
Yeah, well, as I say, President Xi has been a great champion for wildlife, and he's encouraged customs to use new methods to catch wildlife criminals. So, for example, now in China, they're using the scanners that we all go through when we get on an airplane for both our hand luggage and our bodies. They've tuned them to ivory, so they can catch people coming through with even quite small amounts of ivory. And that really is a new technique in this game. It's been very successful. And then they've also upped their game on public awareness. So, as I came into Beijing a few months ago, I saw 20 posters talking about ivory and how people cannot bring ivory into China anymore. So there's been a really huge effort. As you say, I've been doing this for decades. I've never seen as concentrated an effort as I'm seeing from China right now, and it's truly global leadership.
We're seeing some remarkable pictures of this latest bust, Peter. Why the demand in Asia? That's where it was heading, and where in Asia is this demand coming from?
Well, China obviously is a very large country and has a great deal of demand, but we've seen tremendous progress in the last few years reducing that demand. So the price of ivory now is down by 2/3. But what we're seeing is ivory is becoming less profitable. So these traders are switching to things like pangolin scales. And a lot of the shipments recently, like that Singapore shipment, wasn't just ivory, it was ivory and pangolin scales. And this is a very worrying trend.
Of course, you mentioned Xi Jinping, the Chinese president, there taking a leadership role, China the powerhouse in the region, but what can other Asian officials do to lessen the demand for these items?
Well, we still have a few legal loopholes left. So, for example, pangolin scales, they're illegal to export or import them, but it's still legal to buy them in China. And so we need some of these legal loopholes closing down. But I think the rest of Asia can certainly learn a lot from what China's been doing recently, using this new technology, using an intelligence-based approach as opposed to randomly seizing things. There's an awful lot that can be done there to improve wildlife enforcement, and China's leading the way.
And obviously there had to be that cooperation from Singapore to respond to the request from China.
Absolutely. I mean, when we're dealing with international wildlife crime, you've got to deal government to government. And it's really exciting to see China taking a leadership role, reaching out to other countries. We're working with the Chinese government to see about training, providing technical support to different countries. And this is really how we're going to defeat wildlife crime, is through international cooperation, using the new technology that's available and investigating rather than just seizing.
Of course, a lot of this, the ivory, the pangolin scales are coming from Africa. What kind of impact, how do you quantify the impact that China's role has had in reducing that and really impacting what's happening on the African continent?
Well, one of the most important industries in Africa is tourism. And tourism obviously gets hit if there's poaching going on. In Kenya now, for example, I was there 2 months ago, this poaching has gone right down. There's more animals now, more elephants getting in trouble crop raiding and being killed through crop raiding than there is from the ivory trade. So the poaching has gone down dramatically. And this all stems from China's ivory ban. As soon as President Xi announced that ban, the price of ivory started going down and the poaching started going down. And this isn't just about losing animals, it's about also preserving the tourism industry there, which is so important for so many African countries.
Peter Knights from WildAid, thank you for your time and for your work.